God bless everybody. Today it is October 17th, 2023, and we are in bond destruction. I mean bond destruction. 2-year Treasury yield hit 17-year high after strong retail sales figures. Global bond sell-off resumes as latest sign of U.S. consumers' resilience reawaken fears of higher for longer interest rates. Now, I've talked about this. He's following that 2-year bond. It's moving up so fast he can't control it. He's at 5.5. It's moving to 5.5. He's got a meeting in 2 weeks on October 1st, which has to decide whether he's going to raise. There is a high potential. I believe he will raise because he's not getting. Now, their core inflation, they say, is moving down, but I've shown you CPI and PPI and all the other inflations are moving up, okay? So they're lying to you because they're rigging the numbers to make them look like they're not doing any. They're actually gaining control of this somehow. But the 2-year bond is melding up to the point where that's forcing the 10-year bond to meld up with it. And we saw some huge incremental increases in just the last 24 hours. So we need to watch this because there's a possibility, and I talked about this, as the 2-year moves towards 6 or 7, what if it goes to 7, that you would actually force them to keep moving this up, and that would hyperinflate everything, and they don't have a choice. It's either that or they capitulate and they lose the game. It's that simple. So let's look at the bond rates and show you just what happened overnight. And the reason I go over this, because this affects anybody that has a loan. I mean, of any kind, or if you're in debt to credit, or home, auto, commercial, anything. These rates are spiking beyond anything we've seen in decades, okay? And some of these, look, this is just starting. As this world falls apart, and I just did an update on Turkey and how they're getting ready to get into the Middle East conflict, how that's going to change everything. You need to watch this because overnight, your 2-year bond went to 5.214, which was a almost a 12 basis point move overnight. Look at the spike on that. And that was due to that report of resilience. The American consumer is spending. Now, they're using everything possible, credit cards and whatever, to spend, but they're spending. And so until that stops, and that's one thing that they've been trying to get you to do is to quit spending money, which is amazing because they're in a debt credit system. And so for them to get you to quit spending money is catastrophic to the whole society of economics, to this system that they built and keep telling you they have some control over. So when you go to the 10-year, it's even worse. It went up almost 13 basis points to 4.836. Excuse me. Now, I've talked about how once you get over 5, this is destruction of banks. This could go, 6, 7. We don't know where it can go at this point because there's never been this kind of liquidity and amount of money being injected into the system in such a short period of time, with Janet Yellen basically printing 1.5 trillion in bonds just in the last few weeks, and nobody wants that stuff. They're not buying it anymore because it's not worth anything. And if you have a variable rate loan, which is where all the destruction comes from, fixed loans are pretty much fixed and they're for 15 or 30 or whatever and have to be refinanced. And so, within a longer period or duration of time. And so, maybe it won't even be here if I'm right on the 20 Feast of Trumpets of 27. You might have to redo your loan. Wow, that'd be a really awesome thing, wouldn't it? But if you have to redo your loan between, now and when the world basically goes terrible and we move into the next 4 years, these rates are going to keep moving up. The last thing you want to do right now is buy a home. I don't think you probably get the bank to work with you anyway. But if you do have a rate that, and you can see it on the chart, we just keep moving up. It's trenching up, trajectory's up, it's not going anywhere but up. If you have these longer durational loans, you're probably okay, and you can just leave them in a locked-in position. But if you have these short-term durational loans, auto, commercial, and otherwise, you're probably in a really bad condition if you have it coming due in the next 6 months to a year. You're going to have to refinance these at a massive increase in interest, which is going to cause these payment structures to go way up. And so you just need to realize what's happening out here. I keep talking about how back in the 70s, and I was a child, but I remember them. People were paying 18% on their 30-year loans. 18%. That's a long way from where we are now, but we could go there or could go higher if we have massive destruction. So banking systems could collapse to a certain degree, and then we have a B system coming in fairly soon, potentially at the beginning, spring to middle of 24, if we have a potential antichrist enter the scene. And so you need to be concerned about all these things as we move forward. Anyway, keep an eye on this. Bonds are melding up. I've been talking about this for a while. They're going to keep melding up. If the Fed don't, the only thing the Fed can do is when this breaks, they'll drop rates to zero. It's really all they can do. And they keep telling you they're going to do this higher for longer, and I've talked about how they could potentially do 2 more rate increases, even this year possibly, because this is melding up faster than they can control it. At 12 and 13 base point moves a day, potentially these things are going to turn out ugly soon. So God bless. Have a great day. Find the open door. Find Jesus. Time is getting short. Put your oil in your lamp.